Welcome to Truth is Now Treason, a podcast that annihilates the lies but defends justice and truth, particularly the truth.
Welcome, my fellow traitors, to yet another award-winning episode of Truth is Now Treason. We love this episode. We had so much fun recording it. We didn't record it in our studio. We recorded it live at Lennox's Aunt Carolyn and Uncle George's house. And we had technical difficulties. Our recording device went kaput right in the middle of it. So if the quality doesn't sound quite what it normally is, the quality is in what's being said. And without further ado, here's Lennox.
Hey traders, one of my favorite places to visit as a kid was going to my Aunt Carolyn's house. She lived on a farm down in the middle of nowhere, and she still actually lives there.
57 years.
For 57 years, wow, that's a long time. I remember going to her house, going up on the hills to see the cows, or going to the barn to see the chickens. She had cats, a dog.
One came with the farm.
One. So you got the farm with the dog. Well, she had all kinds of animals. Did you have any other kind of animals?
Cows.
Chickens, pigs. Okay, that's what I didn't remember.
I just counted out there is 7 down here in miniature donkeys. 7 in that field and either 1 or 3 up here in this other field.
How many acres do you have?
137.
137. Now, how much is tillable?
I don't know. And now it's grown up because I haven't been able to take care of it till
Yeah.
lately.
I will say I was impressed when we pulled up and Uncle George, who's 91, correct? 92, was outside working on his farm. I was like, that's cool. If I'm that old, I want to still be able to do that stuff.
Just piddles around every day.
And if you're wanting to know what the area looks like, picture the show Justified. The road we took here, oh my gosh, I thought I was on the set of Justified.
There's one thing I do remember is we went into town to a store and we all crammed into the car. Those were the days where you didn't have to wear seatbelts.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the front seat, crammed in with somebody else, and you put on your brakes for some reason. I want to say there was a snake in the road. And it made my head jerk, and I bumped my ear into the dashboard. I still remember that. I don't even know if you were trying to kill the snake or if you were trying to miss the snake.
But never try to miss them. We always slam on the brakes and then it kills the snake.
That's my kind of girl. I do not allow snakes to live. Just recently, you and Uncle George had an experience with a snake, right?
He went out to gather the eggs, and the snake was in the nest. And he tried to grab it and by the tail, and it took off, and he never did. He didn't find it, but he got it later on. It came back for more eggs.
From what I understand, Uncle George always allowed snakes to live.
Yes.
But for some reason, he killed this one. Why did he kill this one?
He allowed snakes to live until we got children, and then when we got our grandchildren and our children, we decided he'd kill them.
I call them pine snakes, but rat snakes. And they'll fight you. They ain't poison, but they'll fight you.
And that's what you found in the barn was a rat snake? We just moved into our property about 7 years ago, and we found garter snake. But I would kill every one of them because I'm like, nope. Because where there's one, there's probably 20 more. And I'm not going to allow them to live in my yard.
The first year that we lived in another trailer and had our 2 girls. There was 17 copperheads that year.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
17 copperheads.
And you killed them, right?
Definitely.
Now, did you ever eat them?
No way.
No way.
Aunt Carolyn, I've always said that you are a woman of all trades. You've done numerous things from what I can remember. You had a beautiful garden, had a greenhouse.
Yes.
And you were a realtor for years. You also did something else that you just told me you did for 30-some years. What was that?
Keep foster kids.
You were a foster parent. You
For
and
35 kids.
For how many?
35.
35 kids.
The longest was 5 years, and the shortest was 1 day. And we always welcome the kids.
Aww.
They come back and see you.
Do you have any that still come to see you now?
Yes. They usually come when they have a problem,
Aw.
and that really makes you feel good.
Right. Mackenzie, our daughter, she and Jake just got their license to foster children. So they have had their first kid for like 4 days. It was just temporary. The girl was actually upset because she wanted to be with her mom, and her mom was in a motel at the time, and they were trying to get the mom and the daughter reunited in a home somewhere. In the meantime, this girl has to stay in a foster home with this family. Well, this family went on vacation or went on a trip, and they couldn't take this young teen. Kenzie and Jake got to watch this young girl for the weekend. So that was her first experience, but they're looking to adopt.
See, we treated our foster kids just like our own. If we went somewhere, they went somewhere.
So what was the highest number of foster kids you had at one time?
5.
Whoa, so you had 5 kids on top of, how many kids did you?
3.
5 and 3.
And usually the foster kids came from the same county, and they all loved each other, they all got along good, and our kids loved them.
Well, I remember coming here and meeting several of them
Yes.
when I was a kid.
We had a little boy that in our house, you can go from one room to another like a round circle, going round and round. We got him a new pair of shoes, and he went round and round, and I said, "What are you going around the rooms for?" And he said, "The first time I ever had a pair of quiet shoes."
How precious.
Tell us what you said earlier about how one of your foster kids said, "Is this the only place you go?"
Yes, when we always took him to church. The kids said, "Come on, we're going to get ready for go to church." And they said, is this the only place you go?" And they'd say, "Going to church again?"
Did any of them become saved by going with you to church?
I don't know that they did, but they remember if they need prayer, they contact me.
Aw.
So they know all about it.
Like you planted the seed.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I loved more than anything, is to go to church. That's where I found the answer
Yes.
to life's problems. I know that you are a follower of Christ, and a lot of times we ask people on the podcast to share their story of how they found Christ. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that story?
We used to live in a trailer, and the apostolic church bus would go down past our house. And my little girl was 5. She said, "Why can't we go to church, Mommy?" And I said, "No, we don't believe that. We don't believe the way they do." Every time that bus would go down there, she'd say, "Why can't we go to church, Mommy?" And so one day we did. And I knew that if I went to church, because I was raised in church, I knew that if I went to church, I'd be back with the Lord. And so that was a very good experience.
Did you go to the apostolic church?
No, we went to ours.
Yeah.
So which church did you end up going to?
The Hocking Valley Tabernacle. And it was just interdenominational.
When you returned back to church, did you say a prayer to God and ask Him?
I prayed at home. After I prayed at home, then I went to church.
What did you pray?
I just asked the Lord to take the burden off my shoulders and bring peace to my heart. And He did.
Sin can be a tremendous burden, can't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got married at a young age, correct?
Yes, 14.
You want to tell us how you met Uncle George?
At church. Taylor Station Church. He worked at Claycraft, and Roy Keane brought him to church. Jean's dad.
Awesome. You were still living at home
Yeah.
in the Columbus area?
Yeah.
Do you want to share your age, Aunt Carolyn?
81.
Oh.
I'm married 67 years.
Woohoo! Congratulations. You guys made it to 67.
I'm ready to quit at 31.
Oh, hush.
What's one of the things that God has carried you through that you would like to share with our audience?
Through the years, there's been many things that's been, you didn't know what to do. And God was always there. He was always the answer. And I know that whatever comes or goes, He's there. And when you wake up in the night, He's there. When you get up in the morning, He's there.
Now He says He will never leave us.
Right.
And when you think that you're all alone and that no one's with you, you know that He really is there. Because He's somebody that keeps His word. And He is there even when in the room by yourself. He's there. You may not be able to see Him, but He says He's with you. You stand on that promise and He's there.
The most wonderful thing is He's there with you and you can feel His presence, and He is with everybody else too.
Yeah, true.
How many grandchildren do you have now?
I don't know. They keep coming up. They don't know when to stop. I have 18 great-grandchildren.
All right, so if you have 18 great-grandchildren, it's probably pretty safe to say you have, what, 25 grandchildren?
That many grandchildren. I was going to tell somebody the other day to please write down how many we got. Because it's crazy if you don't know how many children you got.
Try and forget some of them.
Yeah.
Some of you'd like to forget.
We have 3 great-great-grandchildren.
Oh my gosh.
5th generation.
So did everybody get started at 14 just like you?
No, they're just fast workers.
So, Aunt Carolyn, if there is one thing you could tell our listeners about your relationship with God and how He has carried you through, what would be that thing you would tell them?
No matter what problem comes upon you, He's there. Mm-hmm. He's someone you can trust, someone that you can lean on, and someone when you can talk to all alone, or someone that you can talk to in a crowd, because He's just there. He's faithful.
And that's what's neat about a relationship with Christ. It's not just a religion, it's a relationship where you can talk to God about whatever it is you're going through. You can tell Him, and you know that He's listening.
You know that He cares, just like you do.
Yes.
If it bothers us, He'll take care of it.
Very good point.
Aunt Carolyn and Uncle George, we are so thankful that you're willing to be on our podcast. We truly enjoyed chatting with you that day. We have one more story from Aunt Carolyn. We didn't really know where to put it, so we're just putting it at the end. It's a funny story. We trust that everybody will enjoy it.
We had a car that wouldn't run. He had to pull it to get it started, and he was going down the road pulling me. I was in the car, and we went down this big hill, and he didn't tell me to put on the brakes, and so I went past him in the car, and luckily the chain came loose or I would have been sideswiped.
So you didn't end up in the field?
No, I was in the road, but I was really mad. So I didn't expect to go flying by.
So you went flying by Uncle George, who's supposed to be in front of you.
Yeah. And the car never did start.
And for an extra bonus, listen after the bumper music, traders, for Uncle George's run-in with a billy goat. Until next time, my fellow traders.
Took the feed bucket and hit him in the nose. He come right back again for another, and I hit him 3 or 4 times. Finally, he got up ahead of me. And when I seen him backing up, I thought, uh-oh. He reared up on his back feet and backed up a little bit farther and put his head down and come right at me. And I grabbed him. I don't know how, because I didn't have nothing else. I grabbed him. I was standing there holding that billy goat between my legs like that, or up against me. Mary May come out and down, and I didn't want her to know that he more or less had me pinned. He wasn't hurting me or anything, but it just was there. And I got to myself, well, ain't you ever going to go home? He said, well, I thought he had you there. No, I said, I got both these horns in my hands here. He's all right. And so she went on, and I drug him over to a watering trough, and I threw him down in the front of him in the watering trough. Boy, he straightened up. And I tried to turn him over and put his back end in the watering trough, but he shook around, so I let him go. He didn't bother me no more. So then I had some work to do down here on that pile of electric poles they brought in, taking bolts out of them and copper wire off of them.
Uh-huh.
And that son of a gun left all the other goats, come down there and around me, and he was out there rearing up, shaking his head at me. And he just run across that pole like every foot knowed where he was going. Never stepped in a crack. He stepped on a log. Every time he took a step, the foot would go on the log. And he'd run all over that log. And I can't hardly get on. I get up on there and I got to hold on to something on the flat pile of logs. So finally I come up the house. Well, I ain't going to let him get the best of me. I called him up here in this field, shut the gate. I went on down and done the copper wire and let him out the next morning. I told Jamie, I said, he messes around with me, I'm going to shoot him. I said, you better get rid of him or I'm going to kill him.